My friends, GoldenEye has a new any percent world record. Indeed, after 4 years of Mark Rutsu holding onto the reins of GoldenEye's any percent category, beat the game on agent difficulty, Perfect Ace has come along and seized the throne once again, beating Mark's time by a confident 8 seconds. Mark set the most recent record of 21:34 in January 2019, and now here in July 2023, 4.5 years later, Ace has finally broken this after a few weeks of attempts. And today, I thought it would be cool to simply watch the run with Ace while sharing thoughts and commentary on the run. So here we go, and enjoy. Alright, so here we are getting into the damn run. This is Goose here, of course, and I'm joined today with the world record setter himself, Perfect Ace.
Wow, it's truly remarkable.
I'll say, and right off the bat on Dam, there's not too much going on. Is there anything you're really thinking of when you're playing Dam? How often do you get 54 seconds here?
Well, Dam is like just kind of a filler level that you want to just kind of want to be done with as soon as possible. It's just boring, but it's also relaxed. 54 is pretty common. You can see like I use a bit of lookup before the gate. I will be using a bit more lookup over here after the lock shot, because that saves a bit of real time. But yeah, it's pretty standard to get like a 101 off the Dam here, and that's like good enough, like a good start to the speedrun.
No, totally, and you kind of have to figure out, or you learn when you're playing, the sort of equivalent of like what the real time is compared to in-game time, and so kind of the startup and reset takes about 7 seconds on the stage, and then you carry on to facility, and now you comment that you got a facility 46, which is kind of slower for you.
Yeah, believe it or not, with the standards these days, with how good the record is and my general facility play, like 44, 45 should be common. But as I mentioned in my forum post, like in the YouTube description, I was just not getting any runs like past facility. So I settled with anything here. It's a good start, so I'd probably lose time somewhere over here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to predict a little stuck in the labs, maybe.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. A little hang up on that third boost into the wall on the left. But it's not a huge deal because, again, you're looking to beat Mark Rutsu's record of 21:34, which was done in 2019, before the Bunker 2 warp came out. And that's going to save 3 to 5 seconds. And so as long as you're staying on pace with him, you're in good shape. And Mark had a 46 himself on facility.
I guess so, but like at some point I just have my own standards of like what a good run is. So I use that more of a threshold instead. But yeah, that facility actually was not that bad. It was probably like a low 46.
Yeah, just the one, missed mine boost. Not a huge deal. Again, 1 second, and I guess we are kind of getting at a point in the agent category where 1 second can make a difference. But generally speaking, as long as it's not like 3 or 5 seconds, you'll be doing all right.
Yeah, that's the thing. This run, like overall, has very few like big time losses. Most of them are just like a second or two, which is really to be expected even at this level.
No, it seems like that's sort of the core, kind of the run you were going for. And, the key, and I'll kind of allude to it leading up to it, is certainly train. Obviously, you've been super practiced on train in going for and tying Henrik's world record of 56 seconds. And that's actually a level where, your sort of average top 10 or 20 player might get like 120, 115 on an agent run. And obviously, you make up a lot more time than that. And that's really the key to look forward to here. But is Surface 1... What are you getting at, 103, 104? Pretty typical run here.
104, yeah, pretty standard.
Yeah, those 103s can be pesky, and even, we didn't even mention runway because it's very basic.
Yeah, it's like 23 every try.
Yeah, Bunker 1, kind of similar. You can get a little bit hung up at the end there, but you want to get like 19 or 20.
Yeah, well, 19s are kind of common the way I do this. Like, I slap Boris and then I kill a god to get up to like easily get through, and then you get boosted at the end. I also do the timed key analyze, so I warp as soon as I key analyze and switch to unarmed. So that was a pretty good run, 18 there.
Yeah, 18 is pretty solid there. Yeah, no, well played, and it reminds me of the days when, anyway, 17 was the record, 18 was kind of rare, but you get them all the time now. But
yeah.
Anyway, Silo is kind of a tricky level because we cut the cutscene in real-time attack, which gives us a different layout of guards than on like single level attempts. So what are you kind of looking for here on Silo?
Well, it's kind of played more or less the same way, just a few differences. Like here, you shoot before the door to get that door open. So you got to be careful not to use the IO strat there, which most people do, like because of how long they've played it. It's really just get through all the guards and I didn't get that door open, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's still a pretty solid run.
Yeah, so if you were on like a 59 pace, after having watched the cutscene, you get that door open. But with the skipping the cutscene, obviously you need like 106 pace to get the door open, but you were just a little bit slower than that.
Yeah, I think if you shoot the KF7 early, the guard also like warps the door, so you got to be careful not to shoot too early. But that was a 533 Silo fade out, which is one of the main TTs I use to tell my pace, and that's like pretty good.
No, it seems like so far on the run, you haven't had anything like spectacular, but everything has been sort of solid according to plan.
Yep, reverse hostages here, that is not a fun strat to do. You can very easily like accidentally kill the hostage.
Yeah, so you're doing sort of the second hostage first, which is sort of the convention now. It is trickier to get the shots in order, but it seems like it has better escape odds.
Yeah, on average, like you do get better A completes. Like this run is a 34, which is it's pretty good, but like that's the standard these days. Like you pretty much need that to world record.
It's about as good as you can hope for, and I noticed on Rutsu's previous world record, he had a 35 on Frigate, which was decent, especially without reverse hostages, because back then we didn't really know about that or think about it. And he actually had a 107 on Silo, so a couple seconds faster, and we kind of see like the back and forth of, you might be faster 1 second here, him a second faster there, but obviously, you're going to make up for it on Bunker 2 and Train, certainly.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's Surface 2.
But otherwise, yeah, Surface 2 is this is pretty standard as well. Although I think we'll see. I don't know if I get the warp here. I might have missed it.
I mean, 54 seems pretty clean if you get a lot of 54s. I think you got 55 actually.
Yeah, I think I missed the warp here for like no reason, but still, that's a pretty small timing. So it's
less than 1 second. It looked like even. And then here's the jail cell Arlene warp. That was really good and clean first try, and obviously that saves the whole speed of a pause, which is 5 seconds. Although then you sort of need to go on a different route to get the key card.
Yeah. So on average, it depends on the cinema. I had the bad cinema here, so I had to shoot through the glass to get the door open. That's still only like a second at most, but otherwise decent execution. 27, pretty good.
That is super solid, and that starts to make up 3 seconds over Rutsu's previous world record. So that's sort of getting a decently substantial lead in this category.
Yep.
Now, Rutsu on Statue got a 223, I believe, which is pretty insane on Agent. It requires a successful Trev shot and a good flight recorder, but as we'll see, you obviously make work of such a thing as well yourself. How often do you get the Trev shot on Agent?
Surprisingly pretty often the way I do it. I don't know if I've just like gotten used to it from field doing it over and over. It is obviously kind of a nerve like wracking moment approaching the statue, and then accidentally just your aim being a bit off or overthinking it. But I'd say pretty often the main thing is to make sure you obviously don't kill him. Even having a slow reaction is like, it's okay, because like the run is still going.
No, exactly, because if you get a limb shot, it's a 2 second reaction. Let's see here. Yeah, kind of like that. About maybe a 1 or 2 seconds slower than a clean body shot. Still, you know, you can get 218, 217 on a perfect run. So anything in the low 220s is decent, and certainly a limb shot can do that.
Yeah, that. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, that's a pretty good reaction for RTA. Sometimes you can get a limb shot and it takes like 2 extra seconds, and you know, like 2 seconds is a big deal as well. So that's kind of a nice trev shot and reaction you got there.
It looked like you got like the shoulder one or the arm one. That's not so bad, where he kind of steps back once and then recovers.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a guard trollery there, but that's like less than a second, and that kind of thing is to be expected on a full game run.
Yeah, those are kind of like whatever.
So the flight recorder, you obviously want one of the two best ones, and you sort of kind of wait and look for the timer at 0 to see where it's going to land.
Yeah, because you want to like have a nice field of view just in case it's at the far back. Obviously you'll lose time, but you can still pick it up quickly. But we had it in the best spot there, and pretty solid high 10-26 split, which is really good.
No, totally. And I actually kind of wonder, I don't think we've ever truly calculated the difference in speed of the two best flight recorder locations, like the one that you got there, which is the best in RTA, and the one we get on single levels. I don't know, but it must be less than half a second.
Yeah, it's probably very, very minute. That's a nice boost. Might have been close to 16 this run, although I think the first room was slightly slow, maybe lost a few tenths, but very good in archives.
Yeah, it looks like you got a 17 there, and the kind of boost in the hallway towards a sort of open room was a bit stuck full on that run, I'll say. But other than that, it was very clean. And Rutsu got 18 archives on his world record, so there's a second saved. Although you'll trade it back here on streets because you get 116 where he got a 115.
Yeah, the one thing about archives that I'll also add is it can be kind of intense just doing the start. Like you might miss the slap or the door, and that's like it gets pretty infuriating. So I'm glad I just didn't get that. Some unfortunate back boosts over there on streets.
Yeah, a bit of trollery behind the barrier, but at the same time, again, a 1 second thing. It's not really a huge deal. And I totally know what you mean about the archive start. You know, you can easily miss the slaps, miss pressing B at the door, and then all of a sudden you've lost like 5 seconds on archives in most stages, and that's not good. Yeah, some more back boosts there are certainly unhealthy. And then
very unhealthy guard look on this level.
Yeah, probably about 4 back boosts, which obviously is not pleasant, but you still made a 116 out of it. It seems like 114 is like super uncommon on Agent RTA, but again, not a huge thing to get too caught up on, and here we are onto the depot.
Yeah, this utilizes my drive-by train shots, which is just very consistent for 27. To me, it's not really worth it to, YOLO the train shot and miss most of the time and end up losing 2 seconds.
No, totally. Like, you're getting 5 train shots in. Chances are one's going to hit. Much better than the one chance turn and shot, which will cost you about 3 seconds. And now we get into the train, which obviously you're super well practiced on. Just, walk us through this run here.
So this is a really good run to the locks. It's about as good as it can get, like 57 pace. The main thing is just getting kills at the start in the first 2 cars. Like I got a kill there. 2 guards in the first car. And that's important because it reduces lag later on, which is obviously big for real time as well. When you're fast, you also have like fewer guards coming out in these cars. A nice boost here just adds to like this beginning. Very clean.
And that's sort of pathing at the end that Henrik's kind of recent advice, this kind of angled side strafing there to optimize the guard positioning coming out of the room.
Yeah, pretty much. One of the guard swaps, it's just easier to get them out the way. Good locks too. I mean, my standards for like fast locks is just kind of high now because of like how much I played it. But under the pressure in RTA, like that's pretty good. I completely forgot how good the start was in the beginning, so I didn't know what to expect. And I was obviously pleasantly surprised to see that 101 there.
I mean, 101 is unbelievable. Even Mark Rutsu on his world record had a 106, so that's 5 seconds saved. And right there between that and Bunker 2, like, that's the whole difference between these two runs. And Rutsu's a very good train player himself, so it just shows you, obviously, you've played Train Agent for like almost a month recently, and it shows you the power when you're super well practiced on that stage, because it's kind of the most, feast or famine stage in Agent RTA.
Yep, just going into the level with so much confidence that I'm gonna nail this and get like a 1 minute 101 run, which I did there, so that was nice.
Yeah, and 101 is iconic because that's, your old world record from 2007, one of the greatest train records ever set. Oh, it looks like you missed the grenade launcher from Xenia here.
No, I think I got it. I just decided to not use it for that drone. Because again, like, that explosion causes lag, and that's a laggy area in general. So it's just like some small real-time stuff.
No, it's a good point, and it can reduce consistency. That grenade shot can actually be difficult, and then you have more kind of health later, and it seemed well played, and that's sort of the wisdom that it takes to get a good real-time attack run.
Yep. Good control style. This level can be kind of, the style can be pretty troll. God can have like a choking death, or you might hit their gun. So I'm just glad that didn't happen here. Last God also had the best death, so that was a nice time save.
No, it seemed almost like a start that you would get when kind of grinding the stage to some extent. The guards had really good death animations. Obviously, sometimes you can get trolled. That's the last thing you want, to have a world record pace run and a guard has a slow death animation and you just lose 10 seconds there.
Pretty much.
And looking at the kind of time comparison between you and Mark actually had a 4-minute control on his run, and you end up with a 4:02. Now you'll trade 2 seconds again on Caverns, so you stay kind of on the 8 seconds ahead pace there. But the run is pretty good, so I suppose that when we get to the ending of it, we might see some nonsense.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's kind of unfortunate.
But all in all, it's a really insane run. Of course, you're going to go over here and try to throw the mine with this mainframe, and sounds like you got it there.
Yeah, that's always... I was just going to say, that can be a scary throw sometimes, like in case you miss it, and then knowing that you have to do this throw again at the very end is just kind of a...
It's one of those throws that's like, if you're unpracticed, it can be very, very difficult to hit it, especially 17 minutes into the run. So it's definitely, if you're playing Agent RTA, it's definitely one of the things to practice.
For sure.
Now, overall, the protect takes 2 minutes. Not too much goes on here, I presume. So tell me how long did you grind to get this Agent world record?
It was pretty quick, surprisingly. I played a bit in April, and that was my first time playing any percent seriously in like 10 years. And I PB'd pretty quickly. Obviously, a bunch of new strats came out. But then my stick snapped, and so I took a break, and that's like when I started to get used to my new stick and just did a bunch of ILs. Then I got back to it like 3 days ago, and was playing surprisingly well. I almost like world record on my first run. I think I had some nonsense happen on Cradle there. Trev spun around at the top of the ramp. But a few runs after I PB'd as well, and then I just kept going, and I think it was the day after when I got this run.
No, it's a pretty insane thing to assemble, really almost like a perfect run. And a lot of the times you're getting on an Agent run are sort of what I view as, times that would be top 10 times on all the stages, say, 10 years ago. So you need to have a really, really good control of the game, which obviously you do. Do you think anyone can really threaten this world record anytime soon?
I think Mark could, give it a shot. Depends. Considering most of the times like very similar, like the stage times. All right, let's just quickly see what happens here. So a god came from that glass, and I knew another one was coming from there, so that was just pretty chaotic. And then another god is like coming down these stairs when that goes up, and I just lost kind of sense of looking at the timer, which I use to time the leave at the end.
No, totally, because generally speaking, on a run where everything goes as planned, you kind of can know when Natalia's going to escape, and in this case, you didn't even leave that perfectly, yeah, so you kind of had to wait for A to come up, though it looked like you weren't going to wait. It looked like you were going to YOLO it.
Yeah, I just like took like a half a second extra buffer or something, but that was pretty quick for like that troll at the end.
No, totally, and the worry is that if you do get trolled out of position, it can affect the way Natalia runs and paths to the ending, and so she can end up not completing for like 5 or 10 more seconds.
Yeah, I thought like she got stuck on the guard and like spun around, and so I'd have to wait a few more seconds. But luckily it wasn't too bad, and that control, like, I'll take it.
Totally. I mean, 402 is solid, and I mean, that's the thing. It easily could have gone to disaster there. It could have been a 410, could have cost you the record. I mean, imagine you got the agent record by 1 second with like a control 409. You know, that wouldn't be very pretty, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah.
And then this Caverns it's actually a really good start. You know, Mark got 106 on his run, and you can easily get behind Trev in the first room, but this is a super clean, super good Caverns.
Yeah, sometimes you can just have like lots of guards rolling your way, get back boosted. None of that happened here, so pretty nice Caverns. 104 is quite good.
And then on Cradle, you watch the cutscene because Trevelyan has to run to the activation console anyways, but you're starting the course now. You know you have a chance at the world record. You know what's going through your mind.
So I looked at the timer right when I gained control of Bond. Usually you add like 37 seconds to that because that's how much time this level takes. And I was like, wow, okay, this is like 26 pace, which is not what I expected at all. Now this is a very intense moment because I was like committed to doing the fast kill, obviously, even though I didn't have to do it for world record. Got the body shots there, so that's good. This is the moment of truth. Gotta get that nice aim. I wait for the guard to pass. Boom.
No, and that is a difficult shot to make, and Trevelyan can have a bad death, but it all works out in 21:26, new world record, and simply incredible.
Yeah, that was like a very solid Cradle. Like, couldn't have really hoped for better. Because, yeah, you can get a choking death there, and that would have put in this time at like 21:31 or something, which would have been bittersweet.
And what are, do you have any closing thoughts on this run as a whole? Any points that stick out? Any further goals in the category or other categories?
Well, given that I got this reasonably quick, I thought I'd be playing this for like maybe a few more days a week, maybe more. Very solid times across the board. Obviously, Train stands out, but it's kind of fun to play. There's like a couple of choke points, like Frigate can be annoying with reverse hostages. But after I got this run, I kind of started using a more consistent strat, like just trying something out. And I honestly might keep going if like my consistency there improves. Obviously, not now. I'm probably going to take a break. But any percent, it's kind of fun. You just slice through guards and just get through levels. So I might continue to play this in the future. We'll see. But the rest of my RTA times I think are quite solid. I'll probably keep playing Essay. Would be nice to get a sub 30 there. Otherwise, I think we're getting to the point where like all of the RTA records, even including all 60, are like really good now compared to like 5 years ago, let's say.
Yeah, they have kind of come along to where they need to be given the sort of new techniques and knowledge that's come out. And the key stuff is certainly the Bunker 2 warp, some of the sort of Frigate hostage stuff, doesn't increase the odds, but it sort of is more consistent, gives you a more consistent chance. And yeah, all around it's good stuff. Now, I notice your sum of best shows 21:13. What would a dream run look like for you?
So, well, that would be 21:11 after this run because I golded the last segment, which is kind of insane, like for this run over here, considering how good it was, very clutch. It would probably be this run, except with none of those, small 1 to 2 second time losses on a handful of levels, like Streets, for example. I think Silo was the other big one. It didn't seem like it, but you could probably cut like 2 seconds there. Obviously, you could also get an absolutely insane, like, world record luck on Frigate and get like 27 there, but that's not realistic. I'd say like about 5 seconds off would be really, really good and insane. 1x might be doable, but that might just be an insane grind.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that as time goes on, maybe no one ever goes for it, maybe it never ends up happening, but you can certainly draw it up from this run, save 2 seconds on Silo, 1 second on Facility, Surface 2, 2 seconds on Control, there's your 2120, and then like you say, like any run could get Frigate 24 hostages and save 10 seconds there, even though the odds are, 1 in 100 or whatever.
Yeah, the pressure like on you would be so insane, like past that point, and that's like only a third of the way into the run or something. What I will say though is that now that I have a pretty solid time in this category, it's like a good baseline fast run, and now I can just, like, if I do attempts, I can just try to go YOLO everywhere without having to worry like about losing runs, because it's like, yeah, whatever, I'll just do another run. It's just kind of nice to probably do attempts every now and then and maybe like fluke an insane run, who knows.
No, it's a good point that you sort of have this sort of mental barrier. You have a really solid world record, and so you could just YOLO everything from here. One point I kind of want to mention about getting an insane Frigate run, if you were to get that lucky run, is like you're never going to come back and get Train 101 after getting Frigate 24. I mean, that would just be so unlikely to put everything together. That, I mean, this run as is very, very good, and I personally think it'll stand for a long time.
We'll see.